Hey, Steve Zonardo here with Remax Experts, Zonardo Associates. Happy Monday morning. Just a real quick update on the market. Current inventory, we're at 11,129 units with 1,387 selling. So if we kind of look at last week, we're up 5% in units, so we had about 10,700 last week, and sales are down 13% rather. So last week we had about 1,500 and change units sell, and now we are at 1,387. So just like a little bit of a slip. But not much, nothing to be concerned about. What I've done is done a year over year for the month of April. I just want to show you what I'm seeing. If I can pull it up here somewhere. Here it is. So let's have a look. This is April 2023. This is April 22. So remember, April was a tail end as the market was correcting itself. By May, the market was already corrected. Buyers that were still paying top dollar for houses were uninformed buyers, or working with realtors that weren't informed with the market. But clearly, it was already in a downgrade. But if you kind of look here, sales for the month of April 2023, 7,500 units. And listings, 11,365 new listings for the month of April 2023, rather. But look what's interesting here. If we look at April 2022, we had 8,000 sales, just about, and look at the amount of new inventory that came to light. And this is where we started to see the market decline in pricing. So look, it was 18,414 units, and if you look at this year rather, 11,000 units. So that, I believe, let's see, fast math. I think that's about 40% difference in inventory. So that's 18,000 units divided by 11,000 units divided by 18,000. Yeah, it's about 37% in inventory. So less inventory this year rather than last year. And this is why we're starting to see these prices keep gathering up. Because if you look at last year's prices, the average sales price was $1,250,000, and this year is $1,150,000. So it's literally, I think it's about 15% off of last year's pricing, and we've seen that because last year we hit about 22 to 24% down in value, and now we're starting to inch our way back up. But clearly, buyers have a lot less choices in today's market than they did last year's choices in April. But let's keep moving. So this is why we're still seeing an influx on pricing. So let's jump into, there's a bunch of articles I want to look at here. This is a funny one. So basically, the overnight lending rate, the policy rate, they're talking about. Bank of Canada says inflation must be wrestled all the way down to 2%. We're at right now 4.3% total CPI. So what they're thinking about right now is potentially raising interest rates again coming forward, because they stopped the last 2 or 3 times, and now they're considering going one more time just to kind of flatten the curve a bit more, because ultimately the only way to flatten the curve of inflation is raise interest rates and have jobless or less or unemployment rates going up. So but if you kind of look at Canada's employment rate, they had an added 41,000 jobs in April. So clearly it's not going the way they're going that they want it to go. So they're going to have to adjust interest rate at some point. Just kind of wrestle down that rate of 4.3 down to 2%. I still think these numbers are false. If you're doing any kind of shopping, you'll see that everything's just so bloody expensive. So I don't see the rates coming down to where they are currently right now. There's something going on in Calgary, a whole bunch of fires happening. I think 100 fires are blazing through that community, and it's gonna create more energy prices, or higher energy prices coming forward, let's say in the next couple of months. So that's obviously going to create more inflation. This is interesting. So this article, record mortgage interest rate payments paint misleading inflation picture. But this is like it's kind of silly to talk about. So Benjamin Tal is a chief economist for CIBC. I've been selling real estate 13, 14 years. Anytime this gentleman's name's attached to anything, you always do the opposite. We have like a running joke with one of my friends that own a mortgage company, and it's just like you always do the opposite of what Benjamin Tal is, because it's always wrong. But this is kind of silly what he mentioned here. So I'll kind of read the article. So Speaking with BNN Bloomberg, Jacqueline Hansen on Tuesday, Benjamin Tao, Deputy Chief Economist of CIBC Capital Markets, said the record surge in mortgage interest payments due to rate hikes are driving inflation reads higher. However, the decline in mortgage principal payments is not being accounted for in the same data. So he's saying, so it's just, I'm trying to get this clear in my mind. So if you look at being a homeowner, the whole goal is to pay your mortgage down, like principal payments is what pays the house down, what makes you full ownership in hopefully 20 years, 25 years, right? That's the goal. So what he's saying is that the inflation is misread because they're not accounted for with the decline in principal payments towards a house. So basically home ownership in Canada doesn't exist in this guy's mind, nor does he give a shit. So he's just saying, hey, just calculate the the interest only payments rather than the principal that doesn't exist anymore. It's a very silly article. I don't know, maybe I'm misinterpreting in this, but it's like everything this guy talks about. You want to do the opposite. I don't even know why they even printed this article, but it's so weird where he's talking about rates. Inflation rates that they should recalculate it because the principal has disappeared and it's only the interest, so it should have a shorter inflation or a smaller inflation than what's currently reported, which doesn't make sense at all. What was interesting? Well, this is interesting. It's taken like 2 to 3 years. Like clearly these guys are out to lunch, but let's look at TD. So TD actually got backed out of their deal with First Horizon, which is good. I think that my paranoia with TD, being really exposed to the American market has probably done a good thing by pulling out of the deal with First Horizon. It was a $12 billion deal. The deal was actually 2 times the amount they were paying for the First Horizon, which had 400 branches in Southeast United States. They overvalued the purchase by 2.05%, so 2 times the value of the purchase. So it wasn't a very good deal for TD at all. And obviously it's created less exposure to the American market. So now what it does with TD is got a more ample amount of capital to kind of deal with whatever's going to happen in the future. So which is good. It's positive. Clearly we took action. I'm not going to wait around and hope for the best with banking CEOs and CFOs and how they're going to offset risk for people like myself that have money in their bank. So that's pretty much it. Hey guys, if you have any questions, you can always reach out 647-962-4372.